In the crumbling town of Maplewood, whispers of hope danced through the air like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. At the center of this tale was a little girl named Emma, her bright blue eyes alight with dreams, despite the wheelchair that confined her. While the townsfolk trudged through their daily routines, burdened by economic hardship, Emma sat in the park, feeling the sun warm her face, imagining herself standing tall among her peers, reaching for the sky. Each passing day, as laughter echoed around her, she quietly fought against a sea of loneliness. Then came Jake, the millionaire tech whiz whose roots once tangled in Maplewood soil. As he strolled through the familiar streets, nostalgia washed over him. But it wasn't just nostalgia that caught his eye. No, it was Emma, her spirit shimmering brighter than the sun itself. Intrigued by her unbreakable optimism, he found himself wanting to be part of her world. The weight of his success meant little compared to the burden of his past, a past filled with guilt for leaving his community behind. Inspired by Emma's unwavering courage, Jake envisioned a way to bring light back to Maplewood. He gathered the town's scattered hearts and proposed a fundraising campaign for accessible facilities. Some hailed him as a hero, while others doubted his motives, whispering about redemption. Yet, Emma, blissfully unaware of the tension prickling through the town, relished her time with Jake. Together, they transformed the community garden, and laughter bubbled over during barbecue nights at the diner. Each moment with Jake was like music, healing the rifts that Maplewood had endured for too long. But life, with its stormy twists, took a sharp turn. Emma's estranged father appeared, demanding a place in her life. "You need to know your limits," he told her, casting a shadow on her budding confidence. Emma trembled with fear and anguish. How could someone be so quick to limit the dreams she held tight? The tiny corner of her heart that wanted to believe her father had changed began to scream, battling the newfound joy Jake had given her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the fundraiser approached, hope surged in Maplewood like a wildfire. But then, just as dreams began to take root, a storm descended. Torrential rains battered the community center, ripping the roof apart, crashing Jake's plans down with it. Emma's heart sank, heavy and defeated. Community members bickered, tensions flaring like sparks in the rain. This was more than about raising funds. It was about the very essence of who they were, struggling together or falling apart. And as Emma watched the chaos unfold around her, a fierce determination ignited within. She knew she had to rise above it all. Other townsfolk sensed it too, their collective hearts yearning for change. In the eye of the storm, Emma stood at the center of Maplewood, a beacon of resilience. Could the townspeople unite before the storm's final blow? The air felt electric, charged with possibility as they looked to Emma, the girl who refused to be defined by her limitations. Would they find their way together, or would the storm claim everything they had built? As the storm raged on, Emma closed her eyes for a brief moment, letting the sounds of the chaotic world around her wash away. Rain hit the ground like 1,000 tiny drumbeats, blending with the frustrated shouts of neighbors. She imagined what it would be like to stand among them, arms raised high, rallying them by her side. The image sparked a fire in her heart. "Enough," she whispered to herself, though whether it was aimed at her fears or the downpour, she wasn't sure. Determined to change the narrative, Emma gathered her courage, her fingertips gripping the wheels of her chair tighter. She pushed through the growing crowd of angry townsfolk gathering near the community center. Their faces were etched with frustration and despair, some shouting about the funds that had been secured, others claiming that failure was inevitable. But all Emma could think about was how she had once sat alone, heavier with loneliness than any storm could bring. "Hey, everyone, listen!" she called out, her voice breaking through the frenzy. The noise around her softened, eyes suddenly redirecting toward the little girl who they had once overlooked. "What do you want?" a townsperson shouted, but Emma remained unfazed. "I know it's hard right now," she began, lifting her chin, her blue eyes sparkling even under the gloomy sky. "But if we give up now, everything Jake and I have worked for will disappear. It's not just about fixing a roof. It's about finding strength in each other." The crowd grew still, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. She could see their facial expressions, hope mingling with disbelief. "There was a time when I thought I was nothing," Emma continued, passion pouring from her. "I thought my dreams were too big, that I'd never be able to stand and fight. But then I found out we can change things together." Amid her heartfelt plea, Jake arrived, drenched yet determined, maneuvering through the crowd with grace. He wheeled himself beside Emma, his presence a silent reassurance. "She's right."
"Jake!" shouted, his voice like a beacon cutting through the stormy gloom. "Our town can rise from this. Together we can rebuild." The heat of his words sent a ripple of energy through the crowd. A whisper of agreement began, growing louder until it became a chorus. Cheers erupted, voices mixing into sounds of collaboration and hope. "We can work together to fix the center," someone shouted. "Let's plan a community cleanup," another added. As ideas swept through the crowd, Emma felt lightning in her heart. They were rallying. The storm clouding their minds was lifting, revealing the endless possibilities ahead. But just as hope began to bloom, Emma's father stepped forward again, his brow furrowed with uncertainty. "This isn't just about fixing a building. What about Emma? Maybe she shouldn't be involved in all of this." Stunned silence hung in the air as the crowd waited to see Emma's reaction. Did her father truly mean to pull her back into the shadows? Emma's breath caught in her throat, confronting the familiar tug-of-war inside her, a yearning for her father's approval versus the strength she had begun to claim. Through everything she had learned, she realized it was time to stand firm, not just for herself, but for Maplewood. "I'm more than a little girl in a wheelchair," Emma shouted, her voice slicing through the tense air. "I'm part of this town, and I believe in us." The renewed energy surged through her, and in that moment, as the rain continued to pour down, she understood. Hope won't come without a fight. With the townspeople ignited by her spirit, she could feel change pounding like a heartbeat in the chest of Maplewood. But would this spark be enough to chase away not just the storm clouds above, but the shadows of doubt that lurked in their hearts? As the crowd started to organize, Emma's gaze wandered over the wet pavement, still uncertain about what would come next. Could they truly unite in the shadow of her past? Would they believe in a brighter tomorrow? Emma turned to Jake, a question hanging in her heart. What do we do now? Together they stood united, but the next chapter awaited, teetering between hope and fear. How would the town band together for the challenges ahead? With the storm still swirling around them, the energy in the air crackled. Emma and Jake exchanged determined glances, both fueled by the fire they had sparked within the crowd. The murmurings of agreement had shifted into a chorus of ideas, yet she could hear her father's doubts lingering like thunder among the townsfolk. What if they don't believe me? Emma wondered, biting her lip. The allure of fear tugged at her heart, threatening to pull her back into the shadows. "Let's break into groups," Jake commanded, his voice booming once more. "We can focus on planning. Let's see what we each can contribute." Emma felt a rush of pride as she watched people step forward, each holding on to a piece of hope as they formed small circles of collaboration. "Someone grab a pen and paper," shouted a woman from the back. "We need a list of all the things to do." The crowd bustled with excitement, voices overlapping as ideas flowed like the rain. Emma's heart soared to see people come together, but somewhere deep within her, a doubt flickered. Would they stay committed when the sunny days returned? "Hey, Emma," Jake's voice broke through her contemplation. "What's next?" She inhaled deeply, allowing her heart to rise with the hope spread in the air. "Let's share our stories," she suggested, her voice steady. "Everyone here has felt like giving up, but we've also found ways to fight back. If we can remind each other of that strength, we might keep the fire burning." Jake nodded with enthusiasm. "I love that." One by one, the townsfolk began to share their personal struggles and victories, weaving a tapestry of stories that bridged gaps between generations. An older man spoke passionately about losing his job, but finding solace in volunteering. A stay-at-home mother shared how she'd managed to prioritize her mental wellness by creating a neighborhood garden. Slowly, the feelings of fear and despair gave way to something much more powerful: unity. As Emma listened, tears filled her eyes. She had never felt so seen or connected to these people. Their stories resonated within her, and for the first time, she understood that she wasn't just a girl in a wheelchair. She was a part of something bigger, a community striving for growth and resilience. Suddenly, the angry shouts of the storm faded away,
replaced by the soft clapping of hands. Everyone joined in, praising each other, lifting each other up. It was a loud, beautiful sound that sang hope through the air. But just when Emma thought they had turned the tide, a familiar figure emerged from the corner of her eye. One of the town's wealthiest residents, Mr. Harrington, had been standing in the shadows. With a stern expression, he approached them, making heads turn and whispers silence. "What's going on here?" he boomed, the deep concern in his voice contrasting with the hope that had just been built. Emma's heart raced. Was he going to squelch the moment? Did he come to dismiss the gathering? She clutched her chair, the wheels creaking beneath her palms. Mr. Harrington continued, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "You all think you can just fix this on your own? That's naive. You'll need real support to make any changes." A wave of uncertainty swept through the crowd at his words, but Emma refused to let the moment wane. "We are already supporting each other, Mr. Harrington," she called out, her voice steady despite the unease rising within her. "This isn't just about money. It's about believing in each other." As silence fell, she felt the eyes of the townsfolk upon her, both expecting and fearing.
Would Mr. Harrington recognize what they had built, or would he dismiss it all? With the storm still raging and debates hanging in the balance, Emma wondered, could a man like Mr. Harrington shift his perspective from doubt to support? Would her emerging strength be enough to change not just her future, but the future of all Maplewood? The moment felt charged with possibility, and she could feel her heartbeat sink with the rain. Mr. Harrington's gaze narrowed, the storm clouds hemming over the town seeming to echo the tension in the air. Emma held her breath, waiting for the response that could either crush their newfound unity or bolster it. The crowd's anticipation was palpable, each face a mask of hope and fear. "Belief is good," he said slowly, the words rolling off his tongue like a storm warning, "but it's not enough." He pointed to the small group next to Emma, their murmurs of encouragement fading into uncertainty. "You need resources, guidance, money." A few people around Emma grumbled under their breath. "Here we go. He doesn't get it." But Emma stood firm, her heart pounding. "It's not just about resources," she exclaimed. "We have each other. We might be struggling, but we're strong together. That strength is greater than anything money can buy." The crowd stirred, and she could see glimmers of resurgence in their eyes. They had just shared their stories, stories that were powerful and human, stories that didn't require a price tag. Mr. Harrington shifted his weight, his expression a mix of frustration and intrigue. "And what exactly do you plan to do with this support?" Emma glanced around. They were all counting on her to lead now. She inhaled, feeling the validation of those around her. "We can start small. Community cleanups, local events, volunteer groups. We will remind each other of all we can achieve if we work together." She paused, voice steady, searching Mr. Harrington's eyes. "Maybe we just need someone who believes in us, like you." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Finally, Mr. Harrington seemed to soften a little. Believing is one thing, doing is another. He surveyed the hopeful faces before him, a hint of curiosity creeping in. "And what if I were to lend my experience? I can help guide this initiative." People exchanged glances, intrigue mixed with suspicion. Did he really mean it? Emma could barely believe what she was hearing. Was this the change they were fighting for? "This isn't just about charity. I want to see tangible results," he added, crossing his arms. "Show me you're serious, and I'll consider lending my name and resources to this movement." The crowd buzzed with the shift in energy. Emma felt her heartbeat quicken. This could be the chance they've needed, but doubts gnawed at her. "All right," Jate shouted, breaking the tension. "We'll show you. We'll plan, put our ideas into action. You'll see what we're capable of." Encouraged by Jake's enthusiasm, Emma rallied the group.
"Let's create a plan right now. We can list what we want to achieve and the impact we hope to make, together." The air filled with excitement as voices buzzed and ideas bounced around the group, but Emma's heart wavered. No matter how much hope flickered around her, the seed of fear remained. What if they failed to live up to Mr. Harrington's expectations? As they began to jot down ambitious goals, a community center, family workshops, food drives, the storm outside showed no sign of letting up, like a metaphor for the challenges they faced. Mr. Harrington stood watching, arms crossed, but a small crease of a smile threatening to break through his serious facade. But before they could draft their first plan, severe lightning flashed, illuminating Mr. Harrington's face. His expression wavered, perhaps even softened, as he mulled over what this gathering meant. Suddenly, a deafening crack of thunder echoed overhead. The ground seemed to shake under them, and everyone faltered, glancing at each other with wide eyes. As the storm raged on, the wind picked up, sending waves of rain pelting down. But Emma couldn't help but feel a different kind of storm brewing within her, a storm of possibility. Would Mr. Harrington ultimately choose to invest in their humanity instead? With a renewed sense of determination, she looked at him and said, "We're ready to break through the storm together." The room held its breath, the weight of future decisions looming just on the edge. What lay ahead for Maplewood, and could they turn their dreams into reality? Emma's heart raced, already envisioning the changes they could make, but the shadows of doubt whispered in her heart. Could one wealthy man change everything they dared to build? Emma watched as Mr. Harrington stood there, contemplating her words, the rain hammering against the windows like a countdown to something monumental. The energy in the room electrified. It felt as if the air had thickened with each heartbeat. "All right then," he said finally, breaking the silence. "You want your chance. Let's see what you've got." Jake pumped his fist victoriously, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Emma felt a rush of relief mingled with excitement. This was it. This was the moment they could capture the heart of Maplewood. "Okay, everyone, let's gather our thoughts," she said, struggling to maintain control over the enthusiasm. "What's the first step we can take?" "Let's think about our strengths," someone called out from the back. "We can cook, we can clean, we can paint." "That's it," Emma nodded, her mind racing. "We'll host a community dinner. It'll bring everyone together, and we can discuss ideas while sharing a meal." "Like a potluck?" suggested Anna, a shy woman who had been quietly taking notes. "Exactly," Emma's confidence grew with every word. "We'll ask for donations of food. Local businesses could help. Seeing how we come together might pull Mr.
Harrington and further." Mr. Harrington raised an eyebrow, but a flicker of amusement danced in his gaze. "This is the part I want to see," he remarked, stepping slightly forward. "Execution is key. If you can get this dinner off the ground, I'll be more interested in talking funding after." Doubt still gnawed at Emma, but hope surged again. They all began brainstorming, spewing ideas back and forth. Listening to their dreams, their desires, Emma felt that they were becoming a force, something larger than themselves. With every contribution and detail shared, they created a collage of possibilities. The atmosphere morphed from uncertainty to passion, a wave of resilience pulsing through the group. As the ideas flowed, Emma caught sight of Mr. Harrington leaning against the wall, connecting with the energy without fully embracing it. It was as if he were guarding himself against the sincerity that filled the room, but Emma sensed his curiosity rising. Suddenly, a child's voice pierced through the conversations. It was little Sarah, standing beside her mother with wide eyes. "Can I help?" she asked, tugging at her mother's hand. "I can make cookies." The room melted into soft laughter. "Of course you can," Emma replied, her heart warming. "Everyone's welcome." The simplicity of the moment cut through the heavy clouds in the room, reminding them all why they were fighting. For each other, for community. Just then, the storm outside took a furious turn. Winds howled and the windows rattled. A flicker of panic raced through the room as lights dimmed momentarily. But then the lights returned, brighter, almost like the surge of determination that had built within them. "All right, let's set a date for our dinner. Tomorrow night," Emma declared, striking a chord of excitement among them. However, as the conversations bubbled with joy and planning, Emma noticed Mr. Harrington's brow furrow as he looked outside into the swirling tempest. Was it the storm that worried him, or was it something deeper? "What are the real barriers you think you'll face?" he finally asked, breaking the merriment. Emma paused, her heart sinking a little. "The doubt," she admitted quietly. "Fear of failure, fear of not being enough." Everyone fell silent, the reality hanging in the air. How many of them felt that same fear? "Then we must confront it together," Emma said. "That's part of being a community, isn't it?" Mr. Harrington nodded slowly,
a hint of something in his expression that told Emma he understood. In that moment, something shifted. They were no longer just faces in a crowd. They were a family fighting for each other's dreams. But as excitement grew, so did a sense of urgency. Could they truly find the strength to rise above their fears? Outside, the storm raged on, its fury unyielding. But amidst the chaos, a single thought prevailed. Hope was a powerful force.
As Emma looked around at the faces of determination, she wondered if this was just the beginning. What awaited them at tomorrow's dinner? What revelations could emerge as they shared not just food, but parts of their hearts? The stakes felt higher than ever. The afternoon sun struggled to break through the heavy clouds as Emma stepped outside, the air thick with humidity after the storm. Yesterday's energy still buzzed in her veins as she moved through the rustle of Maplewood. The realization of what lay ahead loomed large. The community dinner was only hours away. As she walked toward the community center, a sense of determination filled her. The streets seemed almost alive. She spotted neighbors hanging decorations, laughter bubbling from small groups of people buzzing with excitement. Emma felt hope swell in her chest. This was their time. They were no longer waiting for change. They were becoming it. "Emma!" a familiar voice called out. It was Mrs. Thompson, an older woman who always knew the gossip of Maplewood. Her kind eyes sparkled as she approached. "I just baked a pie for tonight. Cherry, my dear." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That's perfect." Emma beamed as she accepted the warm pie, its sweet scent filling the air between them. "Are you nervous?" Mrs. Thompson asked. Concern lined her face. "A little," Emma admitted, taking a deep breath. "But it feels like we're finally doing something meaningful." "You should be proud," Mrs. Thompson smiled. "Look how far you've already come. It's always the first step that's the hardest." As Emma turned to continue, she met Mr. Harrington on the path. He was peering up at the sky, still gray with remnants of the earlier storm. "I hope Mother Nature cooperates tonight," he said, his voice steady but infused with a lingering uncertainty. "I have faith it will," Emma replied, surprising herself with her certainty. "People are coming together for something bigger than the weather." He nodded slowly, but there was an intensity in his gaze that made her stomach churn. She couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Harrington was holding back a piece of himself. Inside the center, the walls burst with color and warmth. Tables were adorned with bright cloths and handmade decorations. There was a sense of camaraderie as families arrived, each person contributing their special flair, a homemade dish, a beautiful flower arrangement, a smile. Emma moved about, helping, laughing, and bonding, but deep down, the question of whether it would all come together tugged at her. Was it enough? As the sun dipped down, the door swung open with a jingle. A group of children raced in, followed by their parents. And at the back of the crowd, Emma caught sight of Sarah's beaming face. "I brought cookies," she shouted. "Let's set them right over here." Emma pointed to a table where the other treats were lined up. The warmth in the room built as the children began to giggle and play. Emma looked around and felt that spark of hope again. It was growing, not waning. She couldn't ignore the energy. It felt electric. Suddenly, Mr. Harrington approached the front. He cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. "I must say, seeing all of you come together like this is not what I expected." A few chuckles rippled through the crowd, easing the tension. "This will be our first real step towards something bigger," he continued, glancing at Emma. "And it's promising." Emma's heart skipped. Had he finally let some walls down? Before she could dwell on the thought, a sense of anticipation filled the room as they all sat down together, sharing food and stories. Laughter mixed with voices, everyone feeling the community spirit transform them. Then, as people began to share their unique stories, Emma sensed an unexpected quietness. Mr. Harrington leaned back, deep in contemplation. Something was brewing within him, something that hadn't been shared yet. But what was it? And just as Emma prepared to ask, a sudden clap of thunder rang out, unsettling the evening. Emma's heart raced. The storm was far from over, both inside and outside. The whispers of doubt fluttered back like a shadow. What secrets lay hidden within tomorrow's choices? Would this dinner change not only their lives, but also the trajectory of Maplewood? As the first dish hit the table, Emma steeled herself. Some barriers were thick, but hearts were softer. Would they be broken
were transformed. She took a deep breath, filled with determination, knowing that whatever happened next would define them all. Would hope pave the way through the coming storm? The first bite of a warm, flaky pastry met Emma's lips, mingling sweetness and warmth as it raced through her senses. Sarah was already deep in conversation with the kids, their laughter spilling from the corners of the room. Yet Emma's gaze drifted to Mr. Harrington, who still sat with that contemplative frown, a storm brewing behind his eyes. Around the table, conversations bubbled. Neighbors shared recipes, stories of their days, and laughter spilled like nectar into the air. But Emma couldn't shake the heaviness resting on the older man's shoulders. Something was amiss, and it tugged at her mind. "Why don't you share something with us, Mr. Harrington?" Emma called out suddenly, her heart racing as she recognized the challenge in her voice, almost hoping it would draw him out. The room turned quiet, all eyes on him. He looked up, surprised. "I only wanted to listen," he stammered, but his tone implied something much deeper. "Listening is great," Emma encouraged him, "but we'd love to hear your story too." With hesitation, he sat a moment longer, glancing around the table before sighing deeply. "I haven't always lived in Maplewood. I moved here a few years back, seeking something." His voice trembled slightly as the eyes of the room seemed to sharpen. "What were you seeking?"
Sarah piped up, her curiosity illuminating the room. He glanced toward the window as if the answer lay in the stormy sky. I had built a life that was successful, yet hollow. The noise of the city drowned out the joy I once felt. Emma felt a wave of sympathy wash over her. They were all searching for connection, weren't they? She raised her glass, enticing the rest of the table to follow suit. To new beginnings. The clinking echoed, breaking the somber moment. Emma smiled, hoping it lightened Mr. Harrington's heart. For a split second, she thought she saw a flicker of something, possibly acknowledgement or gratitude, before he continued. "It was only when I arrived here that I realized I wanted to make a difference in people's lives, the way you all are doing tonight." Nebulous silence hovered in the air, making the tender vulnerability of the moment shine. But Emma's heart felt heavier. There was still something he wasn't saying. "Mr. Harrington?" She leaned forward. "What made you truly decide to be a part of our community?" He looked at her, really looked, as if seeing the heart of her question. "I've been haunted by regrets," he confessed softly. "It's the youth, the ones like Sarah, who inspire me. Their dreams shine a light on what's possible. I don't want to continue living in the shadows of what I failed to accomplish." As he spoke, whispers of silence unfurled among them, blending their shared hopes and fears. Emma felt a deep yearning echoing back from the moment Mr. Harrington lifted his gaze, a spark of determination igniting within him. "Soon," he hesitated again, "you may find that I've done more than just watch from afar. And I think it begins here tonight." Emma's heart raced. What could that mean? Was he willing to invest more than just his presence? During this stirring moment, thunder rumbled softly in the distance, as if echoing their collective hopes and fears. The storm outside was growing, yet within these confines of warmth and light, they were forging something powerful, together. As the evening wore on, a palpable energy stirred around the room, filling it with resilience and ambition. Emma watched as families leaned closer, the spirit of hope billowing like a flag. Yet amid this joy, an unshakable feeling pricked at her mind. What would come next? Would Mr. Harrington take the plunge into the community they so desperately needed? Emma could feel the thick tension wrapped around them, and as she locked eyes with Sarah, the question lingered. What would they need to face together as the storm grew closer and more fierce? The evening unfolded further, each laughter and cheer layered with an underlying tension. But could that tension ignite transformation, or would it unravel under pressure? An elusive answer lingered in the air as Emma stood at the crossroads of hope and uncertainty, eager yet apprehensive. She could sense the storm waiting just outside, and the question loomed silently. What would happen when it finally broke? The storm clouds swirled ominously overhead, the wind picking up outside, causing the windows to rattle softly. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with warmth, yet undercurrents of anticipation wound through the attendees, binding them closer for comfort. Emma turned back to Mr. Harrington,
who seemed to be reflecting deeply, his brows furrowing again as another clap of thunder rolled through the sky like a distant warning. She noticed a distant flicker in his eyes, as if he were wrestling with thoughts only he could see. "Mr. Harrington," she said gently, "you mentioned wanting to make a difference. What does that look like for you?" He met her gaze, and in that moment it felt as though the room, filled with laughter and chatter, faded to silence around them. "It's about empowerment, Emma. It's about giving back," he replied, his voice low yet steady. "I've watched too many talented young people stop dreaming too early. I don't want to be one of those who just sits back while the world innovates and captures the potential." His focus drifted, almost wistful. "It's not just about the community, but about every single person in it. There are hidden gems everywhere. I want to help find them, to build a bridge." "Honestly," Sarah interrupted, her enthusiasm brightening the mood, "I think it starts with us. We've got ideas, right, everyone?" Heads nodded around the table, and a few voices chimed in, sharing snippets of dreams, from community gardens to youth mentorship programs. "See?" Mr. Harrington smiled for the first time, warmth flooding his expression. "That's what makes it worthwhile. We'll be stronger if we work together." Emma couldn't help but feel hope swell within her chest. They were already building something real. Yet still, a shadow lurked in the back of her mind. This was a man revealing parts of himself, but would he back those words with action? As the discussion grew more animated, the storm intensified outside, raindrops beginning to patter against the glass. The blend of chatter and thunder formed an exhilarating rhythm, echoing that sense of impending change. I looked around the table. Sarah's eyes shone brightly with excitement, and the other neighbors now seemed energized, their dreams coming alive in that very moment. And yet, amidst this enthusiasm, she felt Mr. Harrington's gaze linger on her. "What about you, Emma? What drives your passion for this community?" The question startled her. I just want to see everyone thrive. I can't stand the thought of anyone feeling alone or unheard. Every person matters." The sincerity in her voice surprised herself. There it was, a truth woven through the fabric of her being. He nodded thoughtfully. "Then we have to create the opportunity for everyone to voice their dreams. When this storm passes, I can help lead that charge."
A tremor of excitement coursed through the room. The realization felt monumental. They were on the brink of something, but still, uncertainty tugged at Emma. "Mr. Harrington," she said, swallowing hard, "are you sure you want to take on all of this? It could be overwhelming." The stern look he displayed faltered, but then steadied. "Nothing worth fighting for ever comes easy," he declared, conviction threading through his words. The storm continued to rage beyond the walls, a tempest of nature, shadowing the hope blossoming within the gathering. Emma felt the air crackle with possibility, but doubt hung heavy in her heart. Would they be able to harness this momentum into real change? Suddenly, a loud crash of thunder shook the building, startling everyone to silence once more. It felt like nature grasping the moment too, heightening the stakes of what lay beneath their conversation. Emma's heart beat in anticipation, not just of the storm raging outside, but of the challenge they all faced ahead. Moments hung suspended in the air, heavy with promise and uncertainty. "After the storm clears," Mr. Harrington's voice broke the stillness, "we'll need to gather again, plan our next steps. Will you all join me?" There it was, an invitation to dream bigger, but could they take that leap together? As Emma exchanged glances with Sarah and the other neighbors, a new question bubbled to the surface. What truths would be unveiled when the storm finally broke, and would they be brave enough to step into the opportunity that awaited them? The rain pounded against the windows like an insistent drummer, a steady reminder of the tempest outside. Inside, Emma could feel the walls of the room pulse with energy, a mix of hope and determination swirling among the attendees. They were still in stunned silence, processing Mr. Harrington's call to action. Emma couldn't shake the weight in her chest, a cocktail of excitement and uncertainty. "What does taking the first step even look like?" she finally asked, taking a breath that felt sharp in her lungs. "We all want to help, but where do we begin?" That question sat heavy in the air. Everyone shifted slightly, glancing at one another, their eagerness seeming to flicker. Mr. Harrington leaned forward, his expression suddenly focused. "We brainstorm." A wave of murmurs spread through the group. Ideas floated like paper airplanes. Someone suggested a community cleanup. Another offered a neighborhood watch program.
Sarah, fueled by undimmed enthusiasm, jumped in. What about a talent show? We could showcase everyone's skills. The room erupted in sepia-toned visions of laughter and applause. Emma's heart warmed at the thought. They could create a space where everyone felt valued, where hidden gems shined bright. Exactly, Mr. Harrington declared, his excitement palpable. Let's create opportunities for people to express themselves. When everyone feels heard, change will follow.
But just as their spirits soared, another crack of thunder roared overhead, shaking the very foundation of their resolve. Emma's heart raced. Would they actually be able to pull this off? Or was it just a beautiful daydream drifting away with the storm clouds? Then came a soft voice from the corner. A newcomer, a shy girl who had been quiet the entire time, finally spoke up. What if there are people who can't make it to events, or who are afraid to share their talents? Everyone turned toward her, surprised. What do you mean? Mr. Harrington asked gently. Emma could see the girl's fingers fidgeting with a loose thread on her sweater. Some people are scared or don't have the means to come out. What if we brought it to them, like a mobile showcase? A silence fell, covering the room like a warm blanket. Then Mr. Harrington leaned back, considering her words, a smile gradually forming. Now that's powerful. We could reach out to those who feel invisible. It's not just about the loudest voices. We need to amplify the shy ones too. The young girl's eyes sparkled as whispers filled the space again, and Emma marveled at how this chance remark could pivot their plans like a compass needle. Okay, Emma said, feeling newfound courage swell within her. Let's make sure we capture as many ideas as we can, come up with teams, even get everyone writing down their dreams. The others nodded vigorously, lighting up with renewed passion as they jotted down notes. Emma felt encouraged, caught up in the whirlwind of collaboration, where each voice mattered. But as the storm outside echoed louder, Emma felt a nagging doubt twist in her stomach. Could they really make their dreams come alive? What if they fell short? Emma, Mr. Harrington said suddenly, drawing her attention. Lead with your heart. Trust the process. That's how real change begins. His words wrapped around her like a lifeline, igniting a flicker of confidence within her. Just then, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room, followed by a resounding crash. The lights flickered momentarily, a reminder of the chaos outside that still lurked, waiting to intrude. Let's meet again tomorrow, Mr. Harrington declared, rallying the group. The storm may be fierce, but we can be fiercer, together. As everyone chattered about their next steps, Emma stood rooted in place, feeling hope pulsing like a heartbeat through the air. They were more than a group now. They were a force, igniting possibilities beyond their individual dreams. Yet the seed of doubt still lingered. Would the support be enough when the moment truly came? As the conversation ebbed and flowed, Emma heard Mr. Harrington call her name then, his voice slicing through the noise like a beacon. Emma, you have something special inside you. Let's not forget it, he said, and for a heartbeat, the world around her dimmed, leaving only his words. What other strengths would be uncovered when they gathered again? And could Emma find the courage to lead them through whatever storms lay ahead? The next day dawned with a sky still gray, but devoid of the tumultuous storms that had shaken Maplewood. Emma awoke feeling a blend of excitement and nervous anticipation that twisted in her stomach. Today was the day they would rally together, turn words into actions, and bring their dreams to life. As she rolled into the community center, the air felt alive with possibility. Tables were set up, papers scattered with ideas sketched out from last night's sessions. Neighbors greeted her warmly, vibrant discussions already bubbling over. Emma beamed, her heart swelling at the transformation. Just weeks ago, they had been drifting apart, and now? Now they were standing shoulder to shoulder. Emma, we're waiting for you, Sarah's voice called out, breaking through her thoughts. The young girl stood at the front, clutching a clipboard, excitement radiating from her. Emma wheeled closer, her gaze sweeping over the room filled with familiar faces eager to connect. Okay, everyone, let's kick it off. Sarah's spirit was infectious. Emma couldn't suppress her own smile as she imagined how this little girl had captured the hearts of the community. First up, Emma said, her voice steady and encouraging, we need to decide our first event. Who has an idea? Let's make it impactful and inviting for everyone. Cheering erupted. Ideas exploded like fireworks.
There was talk of workshops, game nights, and even a communal mural. Each suggestion flowed into a chorus of collaboration. Emma's heart raced as she watched them come alive, their interconnected dreams merging into something bright and bold. Just then, Mr. Harrington entered, his presence adding a new energy. "Good morning, everyone," he called, his authoritative voice a tether that brought them all together. "I'm excited to see our plans come to life, but I want to know, what fears do you have? What challenges do you foresee?" A pause settled as apprehension flickered among the crowd. Emma sensed the heaviness, much like the lingering clouds yesterday. "I think," a neighbor finally spoke, "it's hard to get people who've been hurt by our past to trust us again." The murmur of agreement signaled that many shared the same fear. "That's valid," Mr. Harrington replied, crossing his arms thoughtfully. "But to win trust, we must show our commitment. If we succeed with our events, it'll begin to change perceptions." Emma felt hope radiating from him. "We can do this," she said, and her voice rang across the room. "We've already built trust among ourselves. Let's approach our neighbors with kindness. Let them know we're here, and they matter." Interrupted by the chatter of excitement again, Emma realized she had crossed an essential threshold, translating her fear into courage. They were forging ahead together, but it began with individual connections. As they'd crafted their vibrant ideas into action plans, Emma caught a flash of determination in Mr. Harrington's eyes. "Let's not forget, anyone can create change," he reminded them, "but it takes heart to follow through." The day unfolded with collective planning and enthusiastic brainstorming that fueled their passions. Laughter and shared stories echoed in the community center, the bonds growing stronger with each moment. As they wrapped up the session, Sarah raised her hands victoriously. "Let's make it a day everyone remembers." The room cheered, a perfect storm of excitement, overwhelming any lingering doubts. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma stood outside, gazing at the first star slowly appearing. She could still hear the joyful banter echoing inside the center, and warmth spread through her heart. Then Mr. Harrington approached, his face illuminated by the glow of the building. "Emma," he began, sincerity clawing at his voice, "what you're doing here is extraordinary. You might not see how significant it is yet." "I'm still afraid it might not be enough," she confessed, vulnerability creeping in as she looked into his eyes. "What if we fail?" "Even if you stumble, don't lose hope," he said firmly. "You've sparked a change, and that matters more than you realize. Believe in what you're building, and the community will strengthen through it." Somewhere inside of her, courage ignited. The storm that had once threatened to drown her dreams was now transformed into fuel for her fire. With renewed determination, Emma looked back at the community, its laughter pushing through the walls, and her heart swelled. That night, they had taken the first step into a future filled with promise. Side by side, heartbeat by heartbeat, they would continue to chart a new course for Maplewood, a journey not just for their dreams, but for every neighbor who stood ready to rise. As that realization swept through her, Emma felt a profound sense of belonging settle within her soul. She was not just a girl in a wheelchair, she was a leader, a part of something vast and beautiful. And in that moment, among the flickering stars and warmth of community, she whispered breathlessly, "This is only the beginning." Now, don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss any of our next exclusive stories. You need to be part of the journey ahead. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below about your feelings regarding Emma's journey and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Stand with us. Your support means everything.